Hey guys, it's Shawn Ziem, the connection machine, aka the insurance doctor, and the host for the Webtalk Legends Podcast. Again, we are doing these and we're providing value on a consistent basis. My guests come on, they share their story, they talk about their trials and tribulations, things that have happened that help them, hurt them, some things that are going to help you if you actually implement some of the ideas, strategies, tips we talk about in this conversation for about 30 minutes. It could be earlier, it could be later. It depends on our guests and how we're rocking. I want a couple housekeeping before we even get involved with my guests. If you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're on the replay, hashtag replay. But I want you to go a step further. Don't just sit there and listen to us. I want you to engage, and engagement helps us get more reach on any platform. So please drop a comment where you're watching from. If you are one that likes to engage throughout, drop your favorite emoji, the pound, the thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't like something, the fire, whatever you like using, use it as much as you can throughout the conversation that we are having. And don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and make sure you share this to your friends and your family. I want to bring on a good friend of mine that I finally get on to have a conversation with, Jim Butz. What's up, man? How are you?
How you doing? Awesome, man. Looking forward to it. We've been going round and round. It's funny. I'm on the opposite side of it now. You know what I mean? Normally I'm the one that's, going after people and talking. And we've been talking about setting this up for probably a year. And I have like 20 people that I've been trying to get on my podcast for a year. So I'm like, I know I got to do it. I know I got to do it. So it's awesome to finally get it together and actually be able to have our schedules merge and work it out.
And a lot of it's persistence. A lot of people like you and I will continue. Like we could have been like, you know what? He doesn't want to, he's not going to get on my show and that's it. But I like to follow up. I like to check in and be like, hey, there's an opportunity. Can I get you on? And you took me up on it. And I applaud you on that because you take action. You're not going to sit there and just be like blowing me off constantly. Because a matter of time, it's going to happen. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, and it's funny, like I said, we've been going back and forth. And yesterday you were like, hey, can you do tomorrow? And I was like, I can do tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like normally I have pretty blocked off schedules, but I was like, I got a pretty big block of open time tomorrow. Let's get it done. Let's get it knocked out. And it's cool to see people. I come from an entrepreneurial background, and I deal with a lot of younger people and I'm 51.
47.
People that are like in their 30s now, I don't get the same sense of, like you were saying, keep going. But you tell a couple people no twice and they're not asking anymore. That's not me. I'm going to ask and ask and ask. And I was teaching some of my younger LOs. I had a Facebook message from a realtor that I was trying to set a meeting up with. And I literally went back in my conversation log and showed for 6.5 years, I've been messaging this person. And there was like 40 messages in a row where they didn't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't answer. They didn't say no. They didn't say leave me alone. They didn't even acknowledge it. And finally, she was like, hey, my lender dropped the ball. Can you come up next week? And I was telling them, and they're like, dude, there's no way you were messaging her for. I'm like, I will show you the conversation log. I will. If you don't say stop talking to me,
I agree.
Will keep going. I will keep going for sure.
I agree. Yeah. And I'm glad you shared that. And you have to be transparent. And we're going to have and bring a lot of stuff here, guys. So those that are popping in, you got to make sure you are sitting tight and you're listening. And I want to make sure before we even get into it, I like to hear from my guests. Who are you and what do you do, Jim?
Sure. So my name is Jim Butz. I am a residential mortgage lender for Crown Home Mortgage. I've been a mortgage lender for 21 years, I guess it is now, depending on when they officially say you started. You know what I mean? I got a phone
when
book
you close a loan,
yeah. I got a phone book thrown at me and told, here's your lead, start at H. You know what I mean? That was about 21, 22 years ago, whatever. The most important thing is I'm a dad. I joke around about it a lot. I have 7 kids between my biological children and my stepchildren. And we have a crazy mixed up family with, I had a child before I got married to my first wife. She had a child. We had a child together. we got divorced. I got remarried. She had 3 kids, so I have 3 kids, and then we just had our first child together. I got a granddaughter. Nothing in the world is better than being a dad. One of the harsh realities of life is, though, kids are expensive, houses are expensive, cars are expensive, college is expensive, all these things are expensive. I would way rather be sitting at home. As much as I like you and I like podcasts, I like doing everything, I would way rather be sitting at home with my soon-to-be 1-year-old. But since I have to make money and pay bills, I do it in the mortgage industry, and I do some other stuff, and I've always had some other streams of income. I do the podcast, the Mr. Mortgage podcast, and I do some property stuff, flipping properties and renovating things and doing stuff to supplement income for these wonderful times in the industry that tend to be the downward cycles like we're going through right now. And do whatever I can to stay busy. And then I'm also a huge personal development person. I love I'm in a personal development group called The Harvest. I have a personal coach that runs that. We have weekly meetings. It's about accountability and getting better as a human being. We joke around a lot. You can be really, really wealthy and you can have a lot of money. And if you're a poor husband and a poor father, it really doesn't matter for all those things. I've been in recovery for 25 years, and I joke around with some of the younger people that I deal with. Like, rich people go to rehab every day. It's not just money. If it was money, that would be the be all end all. It's sometimes life can be lonely. It is incredibly lonely if you're financially successful and spiritually dead. What I mean? You got a lot of money and a lot of resources, and nobody cares about you, and nobody asks how you're doing. And if you say you're not doing well, nobody responds. That's not a good place to be at. So I'm a big believer in not just doing really good work, in being a good person, in helping people. I believe in, I'm not religious, but I believe in the laws of reciprocity. I believe in the energy that you put out there. I believe that what you put out, you get back. And, it's not like if you help an old lady across the street, you're going to hit the lottery kind of stuff. It's more like, if you help without the expectation of a gain from that effort, I think the universe rewards you. And I don't know that there's like a scorecard or anything like that, but I believe if you put enough good energy out there, good stuff happens to you. And it's the other way around. You put enough bad energy out there, bad stuff's going to happen. So I'm a big believer in that.
Man, I love that you shared what you shared. And just so people understand, I took some notes. I jot things down because I'm actually actively listening. And a lot of people don't do that when they have conversations. They don't jot things down. It's nothing being rude. You don't always have to have eye contact, but you also have to be listening. So some key things here, and those that are watching, when you introduce yourself, I loved it how you told us how long you've been in the business, who you work for, talk about your podcast, little drops here and there of like little selfless promotion, which is fantastic. He mentioned being a dad. Guys, why are people afraid to mention that they're a parent? Doesn't make sense. They need to know you're a human being, that you have something to live for. I think people don't realize how important that is. They hide it. I'm like, dude, share that shit. Share you have kids, which is amazing. You have 7, man. I have 4. So 7 is just, and I'm done, man. I don't, I'm old now. I'm 47, which I never really say I'm old because I really feel young.
Yeah.
I feel young, man. Like, and having kids keeps you young. But some things in here I want to really unpack. We have some time. I want to get into it. You talked about recovery, reciprocity. I agree with you. Personal development, having a podcast. Let's start with that. So I know some people are afraid to get started with a podcast. They don't understand what is it. What has it done for you personally and also professionally?
So, I guess I kind of cheat a little bit on here. So I never want people to feel that I'm not being genuine, because that's not me. I'm as transparent as I possibly can be. So the reality is I did sports radio back in 2010. Totally, me and my brother did it for like 2 years. So someone's going to look at stuff and go, oh, yeah, of course he does that because he was on ESPN for a while and he did this and he did that. So, of course, it's easy for him. But I'll tell you that I did that the same way I do this. I grabbed the microphone one day. I got in front of a camera. I got in front of a thing, and we started talking about something I love, and that's sports. I started talking about real estate. I started talking about this stuff. And I come from a marketing background. I have a couple different degrees. I graduated from Camden County College, and then I went to Rider University. I have an education degree. I have a marketing degree, and I have a business administration degree. What I know about marketing from the 90s and the 2000s completely changed in the past 10 or so years. Back in when I was being brought up in the marketing stuff, it was have this polished image, be as professional, tighten your tie up, be as professional, put this image up, and no matter what, don't let anybody see what's really going on. If there's cracks in the foundation, don't expose that. Don't do this, talk properly, do this, do that. And that was this crazy, like my grandfather and those people were like, hide every flaw, hide every blemish, have this image. And what I know about people now and what I share all the time on the podcast that we do, I want to create a marketing piece for every person that comes on to the podcast. I want them to share out to people when they expose the 30-minute or whatever interview that we do. I want them to be proud of, and I want to put as many different bullet points for someone watching that podcast to connect with. So I don't care how many units you did. I don't care how much business you did. I don't care if you're a gold level, platinum level, blah, blah, whatever. I care, what do your kids do? What do you do on the weekend? Is your kid a ballerina? What kind of dog do you have? Because I want to talk about 10 or 15 or 20 things so that when people watch it, when the prospective client that's watching what you're putting out there sees it, they're going to remember Jim with 7 kids who's in recovery, who did this, who did that, because that's what's going to make them feel closer to you, and that's what's going to make them trust you, and that's what's going to make them do business with you. They don't care that I'm number 1, number 4, number 7 rated, whatever in the world. Every once in a while when you win an award, it's great to put it out there and say, hey, look, just to validate that you do kind of somewhat know what you're talking about. But the reality is 9 times out of 10, people do business with me because they like me, because they trust me. So that's what I try to do with the podcast. And that's what I try to tell everybody that says, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Just be you. You know what I mean? I have a loan officer that's worked for me for a while, and she's very quiet and shy. And she likes pets and she likes a couple other things. And I was like, look, guess what? Those people need to buy houses. You're in the groups with all these different people that have birds and all these other pets. Every single one of them need to buy a house. So if you connect with them, you'll be known as the number one blah, 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 blah. And when they need a house, they're going to come to you. Yep. That's how you take those things. And you're in recovery. We have a saying that says your mess is your message. You can best help the person that you used to be. I have to talk about all my flaws. I have to talk about that so that I can reach the person that I'm meant to reach. If I don't expose who I am and what I do, then I can't reach that person. I won't get their attention, and I won't get them to trust, know, and like me. So no matter who you are, if you say, I want to start a podcast, it could be anything. You could start, the lint collection podcast and talk about the lint you've collected in your pocket for whatever. And maybe it's a smaller audience than other things, but whatever makes you will make good content for people that are like you. And that's really what these things are. If you build an audience of raving fans, your vibe attracts your tribe. Who you're meant to talk to will be attracted to what you say, and you'll have that crowd. And it could be 100 people, it could be 1,000 people, it could be 1,000,000 people, but whoever's there will be the ones you're supposed to be around and be the ones that will support you and give you business and do this stuff, rather than having 5,000 people that don't know shit about you and don't know nothing but your name, and they'll really never go to the wall for you. They'll really never support you. They'll never do what you need them to do. You won't convert that into business. You'll just be some dude who talks a bunch of shit online with people, you know?
And you said it wonderfully. A lot of people think they have to sit there and talk about mortgages, insurance, real estate, whatever small business you're involved in. And nobody gives a shit about that information. They don't care about the rates. They don't care about the different standards that come out there. They don't care about the new changes in the insurance for a homeowner policy, auto policy. They don't care. But like Jim was saying, talking about your kids, talking about consistency, talk about personal development, talk about your recovery. I like a couple things you said. Your message is, or your mess is your message. And I like that vibe attracts your tribe. It's so true. And check this out, those that are watching. If you want, instead of paying or trying to pay to play for getting opportunities to get deals from people, put somebody next to you that you're interviewing that have never done it before. Get them through the 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I wouldn't go an hour. I think it's too long. But get them and interview them, question, just have a conversation. Basically, what we're doing, me and Jim right now, is doing if we were live in a coffee shop in person. We're doing the same shit, but we're actually recording it. But if you get somebody to do this that have never done it before, now you are emotionally connected to them because you made them and allowed them to open up and express themselves. They're going to tell everyone about their experience, and they're going to tell more, and they're going to get more, and they're going to connect when they need a mortgage or they need insurance or anything else. They're going to go and call you without even having to worry about you constantly calling them. Do you have any deals? Or texts? Do you have any deals? Nobody wants to see that.
And you know what's an awesome opportunity now? Like, the reality is everybody knows that you have to do more content to be successful in business. You know, and I deal a lot with realtors, and you deal with realtors as well. You deal with loan officers. We kind of deal in the same circles of people.
Yep.
If you shot truth serum into the veins of every single person in the industry that we're in, 85% of them would say, I know I need to do more content, but I just don't know how. So bringing somebody in, it's literally one of the ways I get people to do the Mr. Mortgage Show. They say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, look, just come in and sit down next to me and let's talk for 15 minutes. And after we're done, you'll feel comfortable. And then when you go home and you know you should do a video on your phone for 1 minute of something to do, it'll be easier because you'll say, well, I didn't think I could do that either. Or I've already done a little bit of content. So that's the actually the lowest hanging fruit that's out there right now. Is there's so many people that know in their hearts they need to do more. They need to be on whatever it is. They see you and I doing this stuff and they think I can't do that. I can't do it. And it's funny. I don't ever watch the Mr. Mortgage podcast.
Right. I'm with you.
I am the least vain person in the world. I hate looking at myself. If it was up to me, I would do radio 100 million %. I loved radio because I could just listen and go on. When I do the Mr. Mortgage podcast, when it's done, I turn it on and I turn my head and I do other things and I listen to what's going on. I'll listen to interviews over and over again. I hate looking at the camera. I hate looking at the film. So people say, oh, I don't. Yeah, I do it all the time. I do it 5 interviews a week or 3 interviews a week. I still hate it. You're never going to, if you don't like it, you're never going to like it. But guess what? I like what comes from it. You know what I mean? I like how it goes. I like the relationships it creates, the opportunities that it creates. So if you don't like it, it's not a big deal. It's not like you're going to go, oh yeah, guess what? Now I love it. And for me personally, like I said, I still don't like it. I've been doing it for years and years and years. We did videos in 2010 about fantasy football and I hated it then. It's 2024 now. I still don't like it, but I love the stuff that it creates for me. And I guarantee you, you know, if you just find something that you like, it doesn't matter. You know, like I do stuff I still do videos on baseball cards. I've been collecting baseball cards since I was 5 years old. I have a TikTok channel just on baseball cards. And some people are like, dude, don't you think that's unprofessional? I don't care, whatever. I want to talk about what it is. You know, I like that. That's what I like. If you have anything, no matter what, Just talk about that. You don't have, if you're a mortgage person, you don't have to have a podcast about mortgages. You can do it about anything. It can be collector cars, whatever you would do. The test is, if you hit the lottery tomorrow and you won $50 million, what would you do with your free time? That's what you should do your podcast about. Whatever that is, that's what you should do your podcast about. And yeah, sure, throw a little blurb about mortgaging every once in a while, or yeah, sure, put it on your mortgage page so people see it. And some people will make fun of you. Some people will be like, fuck that. I don't really care. You know what I mean? If you don't like who I am, or you want to sit around and joke and say, well, great, get out, have fun. I'm glad I got to entertain you for a couple of days and take that energy out of your system. I don't care if they don't like me. You just be you, and the people you're supposed to be about will gravitate towards you. And you'll create your cycle, your group, your people to go through. And it's definite. Anyone can do it. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I've never had any technical training. No matter what, when I was on ESPN, I never went to radio school. I never did any of that stuff. I just talked about what was in my mind or in my heart. I don't do any research. I don't research a person to go through. I want to experience this person as the person who's listening to the podcast is experiencing them. I don't want to find out a ton of stuff. Yeah, maybe a little bit of stuff to talk about, but I want to know who they are as a human being. So I don't care what their hobby. I want to ask them eventually what their hobbies are, but I don't want an interview that comes off as pre-scripted and canned and not original. I want my reaction to be just what the reaction is of people that are listening. So, like, you don't need crazy training or whatever. I ask, like, literally, if you watch the Mr. Mortgage podcast, I ask almost the same questions almost every time. It's like a variety of 6 or 7 different questions. What makes your heart pump? What drives you? What are your goals? What are you looking for? How do you keep your sanity? Because that's the stuff that people want to know about and want to hear. They really don't care how many transactions you did. They don't care if you're the number 1 or the number 42 ranked salesperson in your company. They don't really care about that. They want to know, are you a good human being? Do you have good moral fiber? Are you a piece of shit parent? Or are you a really good parent that comes through? You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff. That's what people want to know. And I love talking to people that say, I really want to do a podcast, or I really want to do this. And then you see them start to do it every once in a while, and they get the little bit of, hey, guess what I did? I did my 5th one. Look at it. I'm like, sweet. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
We're going to keep going on this topic.
Okay.
We had no, I want to remind people, there's no script. There's so much in this right now that if you're not, when people are popping in, you have to wait until this uploads to get to the beginning, because you're going to see, if you use some of the blueprint that we're sharing with you right now, you're going to have success at what you're doing. Here's some value, content, and what everything James is saying, I agree 100%. Hey, every single one of you has a phone. Every single one of you go to an office, or you're close to an office, or you have some branding that you go to. Maybe you have something in the background you could put in the wherever you're going to take a selfie, or to go live. Hey, it's Shawn Ziem, the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor. I'll be in the office from X, Y, and Z. I'm going to be talking about this, this, and this. If you need anything, reach out. Do that every single day before you go into the office, if you actually go to the office. If you had a meeting, I just did a thing, a memory came up with Chris Tarda. He's a realtor with, where is he at now? I'm not going to say the name, but we did a conversation in Dunkin' Donuts and out in the parking lot. We're both together, reminding people. It's content. You're reminding people what's going on. There's also some things you should always have in your videos. I asked Jim, headshot. You don't have to have a perfect picture, but have something that you could put into a thumbnail. Thumbnails are important on YouTube. You have to have all your, have a little bio, have a little, all your contact information, all your links. You're helping people get more promotion on their other socials as well when we're doing this. Anything any other strategies you want to share?
So I just want to tell a little story, because, like I said, I come from a marketing background, but a lot of times things don't sink in exactly right away. You know what I mean? So I joined the Harvest. I told you we do this thing called the 7 video challenge. You you do a video every day for 7 days. It's one topic, blah, 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 So I'm doing this transaction. I'm dealing with the selling agent of a property. We have a really great relationship as the transaction's going on. Settlement day comes. I went over to the title company early because one of my friends is there, and I wanted to talk to him for like 20 minutes before the settlement happened. And the selling agent happened to be sitting at the table, and she got there early. So I'm like, hey, here's my chance. Let me go over there. I'm going to solicit her and try to get business from her because I know that the transaction went really well and we had a really great relationship, So I went over and I talked to her and I was like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, we're friends on Facebook. And I was like, hi, yeah, I know. We never really met in person, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, you're the one whose best friend killed himself when you were a senior in high school. And if you could interview one person for a half an hour, that would be the person you would interview. And I was like, wow.
Somebody's listening. Yes.
And then she proceeded to talk to me for 5 minutes about the different things that I said in that interview, So we talked, and it was a really great conversation. I went back and I looked through my Facebook. It was like a year before this transaction happened. I went all the way back on my Facebook, and I looked at it. She didn't like it. There was no like from her. There was no comment from her. There was no trace, even, unless you get into some of the real deep analytics that show you some things. But, there was no notice whatsoever that video impacted her. But she knew almost word for word the things that I said. And it happened to be that there was a couple similar, things that happened. But that hit me the hardest, that there's a lot of people out there that put content out and they focus on the small statistics that are there in the front. Oh, my thing only got 27 likes. I'm not doing good at this. Oh, my thing only got this and that. Those numbers are exponential in the reality of the world. If you had 22 likes, 115 people looked at it. And the reality is some people don't want to comment. You might have hit a chord with somebody that they don't want to admit in public, or they don't want to put something out there in the universe like that. Like, oh, I went through a similar thing. I talk about drugs. I talk about a lot of slimy shit. Most people don't want to say, oh yeah, I did that too, blah, 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 but you'll relate to it. So if you're putting stuff out there, you're doing content, you're doing stuff, and you're looking strictly at the analytics that are right on the front of the page, you are missing the boat. You're going to be chasing a dream that's never going to come true. But if you just have the faith and the knowledge that you're impacting people, that it's working, you're talking, and it is so crazy. I talked about doing Mr. Mortgage with a lot of people for about a year before I did it. And I started to do it. And I didn't know exactly what was going on. I had this networking event that I was going to, and I was having a rough day. And I pulled up to the event, and I saw somebody that I don't necessarily like. And I was like, I'm just going to go home. I'm not even going to go in. I'm not going to go in. And the person that invited me saw me pull up, and my phone rang. And they were like, yo, I saw you pull in. I'm over here by the. I'm like, shit, I got to go in now. So I went in and I sat there and I talked to him for like 10 minutes. And I called my wife and I was like, I'm probably leaving early. And like 4 people came up to me and they're like, hey, you're the guy that does that Mr. Mortgage video. Hey, you're the guy that does the mortgage stuff. My cousin was on blah, blah, blah. And I sat there for like 20 minutes and I was like, people really are watching. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a superstar. No one's asking for my autograph. I don't feel like I'm bigger than I am, but it was just really great to feel like the stuff that you're putting your effort into is making an impact. Like that's what this is all about. It's about branding. It's about marketing. It's about facial recognition. It's about building trust and building an audience and knowing, because it's just, listen, it's easier to do business when people know who Jim Butz is. That's the way of the world. That's why they pay people $1 million sponsorships to do things, because if Snoop Dogg likes Pepsi, then you would like Pepsi, So again, I'm nowhere near in that range, but if you're thinking about doing this kind of stuff, just do it. Gary Vaynerchuk is one of the most famous people in the world at this thing. He was doing all this stuff way before I met him. I don't even know how long ago. I met him when he just wrote the book Crush It, which has got to be right around 2010, 2011. And he was doing a podcast called Wine Library TV. And he literally had 5 people watch it for the first 6 months that he did it. 5 viewers for the whole 6 months. And he did every one, and he kept going. And now he's a multi-millionaire. They're paying him, whatever, $250,000 to stand on a stage for 20 minutes. But, just do it. Just do the content. Just put it out there. And that's why it's important to do something that you like and you would just like to talk about. And you said it earlier, this is the conversation that we would have if we were just hanging out. If we were smoking cigars, sitting down, talking at a barbecue, doing whatever, we would have a conversation like this. And that's really what we always try to do. Like, even anything, talk about whatever, and you'll see it's awesome. I believe it's, first of all, it's maybe not free, but it's relatively inexpensive. From someone in my background and a marketing person, if someone would have told me in 19 whatever, when I was going to college, when there wasn't really even an internet, when I started out, if they would have said you could reach 1 million people for $0 with Facebook and Live and all this other stuff, I'd have been like, you're nuts. That people pay millions and billions of dollars to reach people. You have it at your fingertips right now. 95% of it is just effort, just execution. It's just doing it and going through and being determined to get to a goal, and not, turning all the noise off and going through and letting your negative self-talk go and not letting it make you quit and pushing.
And it's funny. We had a lot more things to talk about. People are like, we just crushed a whole thing on podcasting. If people don't gain value from this, something's wrong. So this only means we have to have Jim back again. It's probably going to be a number of times in the near future. You're going to see us do this again, because I like your vibe. I like what you do. You are honest. You're upfront. You like to educate people. And this is and providing value consistently. Shit, I need to do this more with you. And there's so much more we can talk about. And if we were in person, guys that are watching, if we were in person, that's a half hour. We just only talked about podcasting. We'd be fucked. Our whole day would be over.
We'd be going for 2 hours. And it's crazy. That's how it is sometimes. You know what I mean? I'll get into conversations and we'll talk, and I'll be like, man, I had 40 different things I wanted to cover, and we covered 2, but it's cool. And also, I know you're a little bit further away. The next time you're in South Jersey, you got to come in and let me know. We got to get you into the Mr. Mortgage studio.
I will definitely do that when I'm down there. I am going to make a point to get in there. And we're going to do this again. I know there's more information we're going to get out there for other individuals. All of Jim's information is in the description. Check out all his links. Take a look at him. Talk about, if you want to connect with him, take time. Here's some value. You see all of Mr. Mortgage content. All his shit's up. You can go through. Everyone's information's there. I don't know who to talk to, how to get opportunities. Hello, go to my playlist, go to his playlist, and call people. I have people and say, hey, I just saw you on a podcast with Jim Butz. I just saw you on a podcast with Shawn Ziem. Your instant credibility. You're going to have, they're going to be, oh, I'd love to talk to you. And they talk to you. But not many of you are going to take us up on it. But those that do, come back to this and drop a comment. What has happened when you contacted somebody from either of our playlists? Let us know what happened, how easy it was for that conversation. James, thanks so much for being with us today. As always, guys, we hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks very much, man. Looking forward to it.